Hello everyone out there. My name's Tadge Juechter. I'm the Corvette Chief Engineer. I want to thank everyone at the Petersen Museum for inviting me to join the Car Week festivities. You know, this time of year on the Corvette team is normally where we gather and talk to customers. There are Corvette events all around the world, and we love going out and actually meeting customers face to face and seeing their cars. So I'm really happy to be part of this. Unfortunately, it's done by video, but that's what we can do in these unprecedented times. We love hanging out with car people. We love seeing their cars, not just Corvettes, but all kinds of cars. So it's a real joy to be able to talk to you. It was just a little over a year ago that we took the wraps off the first ever mid-engine Corvette, the 2020 Stingray Coupe. Since that time, we've introduced the first ever Corvette hardtop convertible and the first mid-engine Corvette race car, what we call the C8R. It was developed by the same team that created the street car. We're really integrated between the street and race car programs, more collaboration than we've ever had before. It's almost like one big family that does both of those cars. Speaking of the C8R, we just recently celebrated the first victory for the new car, taking the checkered flag at the WeatherTech 240 at Daytona. We also went 1-2 at the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Championship, Cadillac Grand Prix of Sebring, as teammates Oliver Gavin and Tommy Miller took the GT Le Mans victory. A huge deal for those guys. It was great to see them on the top of the podium. The team now has 101 wins in IMSA and 109 in program history, and finished 1-2 for the 61st time. Gavin won for the 7th time at Sebring, and Milner took his 3rd victory at the circuit. We hope there are many more checkered flags to come, and we are confident that will happen. We've literally built thousands of Corvette coupes, 2020 coupes, since we started production in February, even though we did have to take a pretty substantial break for a few months for the COVID pandemic. Our first priority, of course, was the safety of our team members at the Bowling Green assembly plant. But now we're back up and running, and we're running full steam ahead. We want to build as many cars as we can for the customers that have been waiting for many, many years. A few things I want to note before we look into the future. In May, we announced, due to overwhelming demand for the 2020 Corvette, we would extend the model year through this fall towards the end of the year to build as many customer orders as possible. We couldn't help that we had to shut the plant down for the pandemic, but we can try to fulfill as many orders as possible, and for that reason, we extended the model year essentially as long as we could. We just recently began producing the Corvette convertible, a whole new kind of car for us. A folding hardtop convertible has all the best attributes of both the coupe and one-button open-air driving. It's a fantastic car. There's one right behind me. I've been driving and enjoying it this summer. We recently opened orders for the 2021 model year. And so that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about what's new for 2021. It would have been easy for us to just sort of rest on our laurels with the car being all new for 2020. But on Corvette, we try to do something new every year and have something to talk about. So let me tell you a little bit about what we have. Probably the biggest change we made for 2021 is that we're making the magnetic selective ride system that previously could only be gotten with the Z51 package. Now you can have that on every Corvette. It's almost a magic shock absorber system that combines the best of roadworthiness and compliant plush ride. Now people who don't need all the content that's in a Z51, which is quite a lot of content, if you just want that adjustable suspension, you can get that on the standard car. We're also adding standard wireless phone projection for both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This means you no longer have to tether your phone with that wire to access the functions through the infotainment screen. And speaking of the infotainment screen, a lot of people have been interested in exactly what you control when you change the modes in the car. We've put up a screen that comes up automatically and shows you exactly what you're changing, whether it's steering or brakes or transmission shift points or exhaust, all the things that change when you change the mode. It pops up and it shows you exactly the before and after condition of what you're doing to the car when you change the mode. We're expanding our color offerings. We're taking advantage, actually, of the fact that we have 12 colors. First time in this 8th generation, we've had 12 colors available. We're replacing blade silver with a silver flare metallic, it's called. It's a color that has what the design folks call a lot of travel. So the difference between the bright sections and the dimmer sections, depending on the way light reflects off of it, is greater than a traditional silver. And what that does is it gives the car a liquid metal look that really accentuates the lines of the car. Red Mist Metallic Tin Coat is one of my favorite colors that I've seen years. Photos don't do it justice. It's not like our torch red, but it's a brightish red tint coat, so it looks really rich, but it has a fire that comes through that tint coat that's unlike any paint color we've done in recent memory. For those of you who are race fans, you know what red mist means. That means excitement. Excitement on the track, and the red mist metallic color will have a lot of that excitement to it. There's also a new interior color. It's a combination we call Strike Yellow and Sky Cool Gray. All our interiors are very striking. The design is very expressive, and so we wanted to give somebody who wants something even a little extra special, that's a unique combination, something that we've never offered before. In addition, we have new stripes, hood stinger stripe, and several new racing stripes, again, a tribute to our race program. We'll start building 2021 Corvettes at the end of this year after we finish up the 2020s. We'll have essentially no break. We're not going to take another break. We're going to roll right into 2021s to build as many cars as we can. This new 8th generation Corvette brings to life a vision that's been more than 60 years in the making, and we are just getting started. Stay tuned for more. I want to thank everyone at Petersen for allowing me to be here today and wish you all the best for the rest of this car week. Thank you very much.
Michelin and General Motors Corvette, as well as Corvette Racing, have been working together for over a decade to improve and customize our tires specifically for the values of Corvette, the customers, and the performance targets that everyone is trying to achieve. We've worked long and hard at the racetrack, at our proving grounds, and we have a really great tire for the new C8 Corvette. Everyone asks, why can't I buy an all-season tire on my new Corvette? General Motors, Corvette, Michelin, we all listened, and this is the first time you'll be able to have a true all-season tire on your brand new Corvette right off the dealer lot. The Michelin all-season tires on the new C8 Corvette enables the Corvette owner to drive all year round. The Michelin all-season tires are almost 25% lower rolling resistance than the tires on the last generation. Powersport All Season 4 has a brand new tread pattern we've been working on for over a decade to improve the all-season performance envelope. There are many things that set our tires apart from the competitors. The technical partnership, the partnership we have with Corvette Racing on the track, the partnership we have with the guys in Michigan that designed the Corvettes is very close. We're working scientifically with computer simulations. We're going through thousands of what-if scenarios a year or two in advance before we even make the first prototype tire that would go on the first prototype vehicle platform. When you think about the qualities of Michelin, long-lasting, endurance, high performance, no compromise, that's the same thing as Corvette. That kind of partnership, it starts early, and we're very glad to keep continuing this partnership.
And these guys don't hang around. It's not a demo, it's not a procession. They are real racers, and the cars are surprisingly quick. Mark, I think yesterday, past the pits was timed at over 90 miles an hour. Alongside him is Duncan Pittaway in the little GN stripy car with the Curtiss V8 aircraft engine. Spoke to Duncan earlier this morning. He's not going to let Julien Majoub get away to a flying start. The Delage in the middle of the field. When Eldridge in the Mephistopheles took away the Delage land speed record in 1924, he immediately drove Mephistopheles to Paris and parked it outside the Delage showrooms, much to the dismay of the Delage company. Coming just onto the grid now, number 17, the extraordinary Fiat with the Assotta Fraschini huge, long airship engine. Mike Vardy sitting behind the rear axle. Bugatti Black Bess, chain drive Bugatti, 5-litre, one of Ettore Bugatti's earliest cars. And at the back of the grid, number 26, is the AD type Vauxhall.
And beyond it, number 21, the 9-litre Gladiator.
Yes.
It's a fascinating pack, isn't it?
I don't think a grid like this has ever been seen at Goodwood before. Off we go.
One or two of the Nippier cars
leaps into the lead.
Yeah, one or two of the Nippier cars, which are lighter, can fly away at the start. But this is great, isn't it? Just amazing. They're still jostling for position. The Moors in the middle there. One of the Hudsons on the outside. Little Brescia Bugatti Type 13 in there too.
Julien Majoub and the Delage locked in battle for second place. Duncan Pittaway scuttles away in the little GM with the big V8 aircraft engine. In the middle of the pack, Mark Walker in the Darragh. A little bit of steam from the Austin towards the back of the field.
Well, Duncan Pittaway's made a very good escape. He's about 10 car lengths clear of the Delage of Siletsky as they come down to St Mary's. Big twitch to the tail from Pittaway as he goes through. Nice exit speed from the Sunbeam with Julien Majoub in third place with a very long pointed tail as he tucks in behind the Delage. But Pittaway not just using the benefit of being lighter to get off the start-finish line, but driving beautifully. In fourth place is number 11 is Huey Walker in the GN Thunderbug, going beautifully behind. But certainly, as you can see, a great advantage at the moment for our race leader, Duncan Pittaway.
Duncan, who also, of course, has the giant Fiat S76 that was a star of the festival this year. Thunderbug being chased by Mark Walker, who's pumping away, pumping up the fuel. There's Annie Scaldwell in the GN. The Delage is getting much closer and pops in front of Duncan.
Gets Delage through at Woodcote. Is Pittaway going to duck back underneath him? I think he is. Hasn't got the acceleration though, has he? It's going to be Siletsky who leads the way in the 47 Delage, and he's fighting at the wheel of that car. It's fantastic, but Pittaway very quick out of the chicane.
Delage with its big V12 engine, raced by Sam Clutton in the 50s in vintage racing. Duncan is not going to let it get away. Wonderful mixture of exhaust notes going past the pits.
And a wonderful rear shot there, just showing how much more nimble the Pittaway car was as it regained the lead. So number 13 back into the lead, the GN Curtis and the Delage with Marcus Siletsky with a whole lot more to do. But as we saw last time down the Lavin Straight, plenty of horsepower for 47. We gobbled up, but Pittaway will work really, really hard to carry all the momentum he dares through the corners.
Where did Pittaway get past the Delage?
He got into Madwick. He just had...
Oh, wonderful.
He was able to tuck down the inside, just so much more nimble.
He didn't trouble the brakes, did he?
No, that'll be it. Save on the pedal wear.
And of course, the big, heavy Delage designed to go, not to stop.
Great stuff. Pittaway, who, for one of the historic Grand Prix at Monaco, drove his Bugatti all the way down in convoy with another, raced it at the event,
drove it home.
So they're the first three, and they've really broken clear. Popping and banging behind them is Huey Walker. Might just see him flashing into shot. In fact, there he is in the background in a wonderful battle. Jordan Paulson really pushing Mark Walker very hard again. But for the second lap running, look at the power that Delage V12 has down the Lavin Straight, back into the lead. But you know, Pittaway is far from finished. He burst into the lead at the start. He can do so again.
We also wonder whether Julien Majoub, there he is in third place, is just holding back. That was our pole sitter. Julien, always a determined driver, as we know from his performances at the Revival.
0.4 between them at the end of the first lap. The order is the same, having changed changed twice in the intervening lap. In fact, where it was 0.48.
Can Duncan hop in front of the Delage at Madrick? No, not quite this time.
Well, not on the way in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key. But in fact, Seletsky hesitated, but he's looking over his shoulder, desperate to see where Pittaway is. Has to look not just across, slightly backwards, but down, because of course Pittaway is sitting so much lower than the little GN.
What is interesting is that Seletsky and Pittaway are both lapped in the 151s. Yesterday, Mazoub's pole time was 156, and Mazoub himself is going 4 seconds quicker than yesterday, but it's not quick enough.
No, it's not. He's dropping back a bit.
Here comes Pittaway. What national colours are those on the Pittaway car, Bruce? Do you know?
Not Angola.
They will be.
We'll work through the A's.
I think it's Somerset.
Yeah, it's not Dorset. That's yellow and red. Good white.
Now, Duncan's alongside the Delage. Can he make it stick? He can.
Well, he knows he needs to make it stick because he knows that the Delage has so much more power under acceleration. But a great corner exit. Pittaway's giving it everything he can. He's got the kink coming up, but all the time down the straight there. You can see the Delage. Seletsky ducking his head down. Oh, he's looking down in the cockpit.
No,
Gear change problems.
Gear problem.
Oh dear.
Further down, number 10, Annie Scorwell in 7th, is 2 places ahead of her husband in 18. It's going well, and there's some back markers here.
Coming up to lap. Is that the Gladiator? Delage looked okay. Perhaps a slight gear change problem, but
don't forget, for the last 2 laps, he's been ahead by the time they got down to Woodcote, and we've had to have Pittaway fighting back. But now Pittaway, we know, is so handy in the little GN. Curtis, when he gets up to corners like Madwick, the next corner he's going to reach, he will stretch that advantage on the run down to Ford Water. It'll come down again as the Delage catches up, but again looking down into the cockpit for the gear change. Oh dear for Seletsky, and all along, you probably can't see the head looking down into the cockpit, but Julien Mazoub giving chase in the sunbeam.
Yeah, Pittaway at 150.392, which is a terrific time. Seletsky still lapped half a second quicker than Mazoub, despite his travails.
Mark Walker belting past the pits.
Number 2 in the
GN
pits.
Akela with GN's own engine, own V-twin engine into the pits, with a pumping, trying to pump fuel pressure up.
The driver's surname is an anagram of the car.
Well, we've had a change of lead again. Pittaway must have hit trouble because we've got the Delage into the lead.
And they're all together.
Julien Mazoub right on his tail. What happened? It was off-camera shot. I couldn't see it from my commentary position, but coming down to the kink before St Mary's, Seletsky was back into the lead. So we have a 3-way battle for the lead, just as it looked as though it was going the other direction.
Is Julien going quicker or the others going slower?
That's a very good point.
Last lap 152.6, so matching their pace.
And Julian's bustling up onto the inside at Lavant. He's preparing himself for a move, isn't he? He's got those Blockley tyres up to temperature.
Yes, I suspect Julian's been holding back. Well, we'll see. Here's Duncan again.
Here he comes
past the Delage
in a straight line. So his Delage may be slightly hobbled somewhere. And is the Sunbeam going to come through as well? No, Seletsky moves across, just dominating the centre of the road, looks over his shoulder, quickly to see where Julien Mazoub is. There's a car ahead of them. Julien skirts the grass, doesn't he?
Almost 2 wheels on the grass.
Oh, and Pittaway may find himself impeded in the chicane unwittingly.
Well, for a race that really started to stretch out, it's really narrowed down at the front, and Pittaway leading. We know that Seletsky in the Delage has the power to get back at him, but not as nimble. And Julien Mazoub, was he just biding his time? Of course, the tyre manufacturer knows his rubber very well indeed. It's great to see the Sunbeam rejoining the battle to get up into 3rd place.
1.4 seconds across the top 3.
There's the giant Fiat Sottofrascini being lapping the big chain drive Bugatti. Delage.
Oh, a little bit sideways there.
Touch of the Mika Häkkinen's there.
A little bit sideways for Seletsky, and Pittaway's made a few lengths out of that in traffic.
I'm just wondering if there was a problem for Pittaway with traffic last time around, and he
may well
suddenly
have been.
lost all that ground. And now
Mazoub
into second. Why do second when you can do the lead? Well, that's economy of motion, isn't it?
Yeah, before
3rd place,
the
2nd
kink.
place, 1st place, before the kink, and now will he pull away? Of course, when he gets the tighter corners, Pittaway will be able to fight back, and if the Delage of Seletsky can lose the gear change problems, or whatever has been slightly slowing it at points around the circuit, we'll be back to a 3-way battle for the lead. But Mazoub, was he biding his time, keeping his powder dry, but he's really pounced this lap.
Lapping the Targa Florio Alfa Romeo.
Beautiful line through there by Pittaway, absolutely perfect. One arc all the way through Lavant. Now he's coming up on the outside of the kink, and he's getting past. He's past Mazoub.
great entertainment. Now, can Duncan pop in front of Julian on... no, he retains second place into the chicane. There's going to be a bit of traffic, the big Austin.
It's way in the Austin number 5.
Doesn't hold them up, I don't think.
Nope.
They'll pop past on the finishing straight.
Pitaway gets such good acceleration out in that much lighter car. And you can see the GN going back into the lead past Julian Majoub in the mighty Sunbeam. In the background, Siletsky in the Delage holding on for dear life behind them. All covered by just over a second, 1.3 seconds on the start finish line. Wonderful rear shot showing how the Sunbeam is so sideways through Madgwick in unison with the little Pitaway GN alongside him. But
this is a great race, isn't it?
it's a fantastic race. It's little and large, it's odd and strange, every sort of shape of car, and that's just wandering around the paddock. But the car in the not Angolan racing colours really going very well indeed. In second place, Duncan Pitaway. He will strike back.
Odd and strange, Bruce, and that's just the drivers.
I thought it was the commentators, but never mind.
Angola, of course, a hub of 2-litre sports car racing in the early part of the 1970s.
One GN pops past the other, one with considerably more power than the other.
Oh, Siletsky got hung out to dry there. He couldn't get around the back marker, so he's dropped off the tail of this lead battle. But a huge gaggle of cars up in front of Julian Majoub may well hold him up, and Pitaway in the far more nimble number 13, the GN Curtis, could use this moment to strike. But in fact, luckily they've got through the first part of Lavant, the second part of Lavant, where the cars are ahead of them. And the kink could be absolutely key to them all.
Cars everywhere. And look at the different sight lines the drivers have. Yeah. Some of them are about sort of 8 feet up on these things.
Majoub touched the grass on the inside of the kink there. He's had to come off the power a tiny little bit. Actually, no, Julian doesn't come off the power, does he? Anyhow, still, Pitaway now chose that moment to go back into the lead, and the power of the Sunbeam should tell us they come down to Woodcote, but Pitaway can leave his braking as late as he possibly dares. Julian Majoub not giving any ground at all, but lots of opposite lock from Pitaway and even more from Julian Majoub.
Julian getting a bit of ground there. The Delage is coming back, held up a little bit by that gaggle of cars.
Then there's some distance back, about another 18 seconds to Walker's 1 and 2, Mark, and being chased by Huey Walker.
1.7 between the leaders as a result of that auto crossing by Majoub. Siletsky 1.8 away in third place, so pretty much equidistant.
Good to see Mark Walker up on the big screens. He's 1905 Derek. He is totally out of the elements. He's tucked down behind the steering wheel as much as he dares, but you can see every single movement that he makes in that mighty, very, very quick car from more than a century ago.
And no brakes on the front, very few on the back. So Mark doesn't believe in slowing down. Sadly, Brosher Bugatti.
Yeah, just pulled off on the infield at St Mary's, just hopped out, well picked up by the camera crews. But the lead trio, and they really are a trio again, are coming through the kink before St Mary's. The Sunbeam at the lead of that group, Julian Majoub. 2 car lengths back is Duncan Pitaway, and regaining the ground lost earlier, Marcus Siletsky in the Delage in the backdrop. But we're into the final 3 minutes until the checkered flag comes out. Who is it going to go to? It could be any one of these three, but for now the Sunbeam of Julian Majoub are leading the way.
The valve get chattering in the air, isn't it wonderful?
Are we going to get a Formula 3 style finish?
Three goes Pitaway down the right hand side. He's got the momentum. It's so quick at that point of the circuit. Cuts across. Can he brake later than Majoub down here? He's got the lighter car. Siletsky's not out of the picture either.
So maybe
here
one
comes
more.
Majoub up the inside.
One more lap after this. Majoub takes a
side by side through the first apex of Woodcote.
Don't forget he ran wide last time. This time he had the corner. I'm quite surprised that Duncan Pitaway left so much space, because Julian had shown the lap before he's more than happy to come down the inside into Woodcote. But so now onto the starting the final lap. It's Julian Majoub from Duncan Pitaway, the Delage of Marco Siletsky tucked in behind him, trying to use the extra horsepower he has. But look at the acceleration and the lighter car, the GN Curtis, back into the lead of the race. So it shows us Julian Majoub in the lead, but we can see with our eyes that number 13 is back in front, Duncan Pitaway. But how long will he stay there? Briefly, of course, because Julian is so good through Madgwick. But that was Madgwick 1, the second part of Madgwick. He didn't manage to complete as he wanted. The Delage is coming back. Siletsky right onto Majoub's tail. May well pull past before they
Siletsky's
get.
gone through. He's up to second.
up to second into the drop as they go down towards the King for the final time before St Mary's, and he's got, well, he doesn't have any extra momentum because Pittaway didn't slow down very much at all, but there is something rather slower in the road ahead of them. Luckily, they've all passed it super easily between the King and St Mary's, but Pittaway's got a huge lead. Well, that's 5 car lengths in this race. Ziletsky in second, and Majoub, will he fight back in the Sunbeam? Of course he'll give it a go.
This is fantastic. Into the last 3/4 of a minute of this FSF Edge race for Edwardian cars. Mazoub with that bubble visor, elegantly tweaking the wheel, but Pittaway's made a break, hasn't he? And Pittaway is quick in the first part of the straight. It's at the end where the big bangers come muscling past, or have done.
Can Delage Power bring him closer to the little GN?
Well, we saw that early in the race. The first 3 laps, he had a really good run at him, but we know that Majoub is the more attacking driver of the chasers when they come down to Woodcote. As long as Pittaway turns in slightly earlier than he did last time, he'll surely have the corner covered, but only just because Ziletsky a really fighting line into the corner.
It's fantastic, isn't it? And up over the curve of Ziletsky, a bit of tyre smoke from the right-hand rear wheel. Into they go, into the chicane they come for the last time. Pittaway gets a bit crossed up on the exit, and he puts his foot down, he charges for the line, and he's going to get there, but only just.
Is he?
Wow, what a fantastic photo finish by 0.230 of a second. Duncan Pittaway hangs on. Here comes Mark Walker throwing the big Derek sideways. He's going to be in fourth place, isn't he? Yes, Mark Walker in fourth. In the Derek. Huey Walker
05.
Next up.
Well, you really, really feel that Henry Hope Frost is going to have 3 very, very happy drivers to talk to. They all have a tale to tell. And there's Huey Walker in number 11. The little to the large of many of the others.
16 is Paulson behind him in the Hudson.
I think people watching this in various parts of the world can't believe how quickly, how competitive these ancient cars are and how quick they are.
And how hard they're raced and properly raced.
Yes, Duncan thrilled with his victory in the checkered GN.
It's been a fabulous race, hasn't it?
Well, they're being applauded all around the circuit.
And I think Ziletsky had to come out of the throttle, didn't he? Thinking, where on earth is this little whippersnapper going to go?
I think that defines understeer followed by oversteer, doesn't it?
Well, they're being royally received around the circuit, people waving hats, caps.
So they should. What a race. Wonderful.
That was brilliant. What a stunning race. And hats off to Duncan Pittaway with that waspish helmet.
Remember that GN chain drive, no differential. The big Fiat finishes, closely followed by Frankel in the Bentley.
That was just a real sight, wasn't it? And it's put some new colours in the paint box of our spectators.
And Duncan is scoring points for Torque Bolton, Ziletsky for Aubigny, and Majoub for Darnley. So a good spread of house points.
And the best lap of the race to Duncan Pittaway, a 150.392. 150.392.
Look at the rocker gear hammering away.
It's great. And there's our result. SF Edge Trophy. And first, number 13, Duncan Pittaway with the 1921 GN Curtis. In second place, number 47, Matthias Ziletsky with the Delage V12, number 47. Third, number 25, Julian Mazoub, put up such a brave fight in the Sunbeam Indianapolis. A multiple winner here in the past in different cars. Fourth was number 200, Mark Walker with 1905 Darracq 200 horsepower. Fifth, 11, Huey Walker with the 1908 GN Thunderbird. In sixth place, number 16, John Paulson with the Hudson Super 6. Seventh was 12, Tony Lees with the Vauxhall Viper. Eighth, Richard Scoldwell with the number 18, Lorraine D. Dietrich. In ninth place, number 20, Ben Collins with the Monarch. In 10th, 15, James Collins with his Hudson. In 11th place, number 9, Andrew Frankel with the Bentley. And in 12th place, number 22, T, not quite sure where it's a T car, Neil Dyer with the Moors Le Sanglier. 13th, 23, Andrew Howe Davis with the Scat. 14th, number 4, Nick Pellet with the Sunbeam TT. 15th, number 7, Gareth Graham with the Mercedes. And 16th, number 22, Chris Mann with his Alfa Romeo RTLF. And RLTF, sorry. Then 17th, number 5, Edward Way with the Austin with the Hall-Scott aero engine. And 18th, number 19, Philip Dressel with the Mercedes. 19th, number 17, the massive Isotta Fraschini powered Fiat of Mike Vardy. Then right alongside him was number 20, Carlos Seletsky with a number 6 Bugatti Type 16 5-litre car there. In 21st, number 1, Peter Wilson with the Brasier Strana Suiza. 22nd, number 26, James Gunn with the Vauxhall AD. 23rd, Paul-Emile Pissard with the Gladiator, number 21. Both of those guys are 2 laps down. And finally, Dusan Ung with the GN Akela. Down in the presentation area, Henry Hope Frost has the jubilant Duncan Pittaway with him.
Thanks, Marcus. Yes, a breathless Duncan Pittaway as I tried to avoid pressing my trousers on the exhaust. Well done.
I'm so pleased. You don't often get races like that. Historic racing is about having a good race, and this having a mixed grid is always difficult to get a good race. And that was so close. And I genuinely thought there was one more lap, and I thought I'm never going to hold this out. I held it through the chicane. I thought I'm just not going to hold them off for one more lap. But what a fantastic race! And this car is huge. When you're next to it in a corner and it comes barreling past you at twice the speed, it just scares the Jesus out of you.
When Goodwood said they were going to have an Edwardian race, did you imagine it would be that competitive?
No, I was really worried when they said, because the speed differential is so enormous. But I knew it was going to be a race of sort of 2 or 3 halves, and to have 4 or 5 cars, or these 3 cars up the front, being so closely matched, it was just so exciting.
Were you aware that Matthias and Julian were all over each other at the end then?
No, I didn't. I mean, I was just... it's funny, these cars are so much faster on the straights, and I could only make it up in the corners, so I just was concentrating on pedalling as hard as I could through the bends, and just hoped I could stay far enough ahead for them, because coming down the Levant Straight, I was just watching my mirrors, and this radiator looming in the mirrors is a sight to be seen. So they must have had a tussle on the last, before the Levant Straight, and lost enough ground for me to keep ahead of them to the chicane, but it was only luck, because every time I came through, I couldn't keep ahead of them off across the line. I was trying to, and I thought this is going to play out to the end, so that was very good.
Well done, Doug. I'll let you relax with a wreath and a kiss, but not from me.
Thanks very much.
Let me grab a word with Matthias Seletsky. He's showing off for the fans' cameras. Matthias, let me grab a word with you in the massive Delage. You're a bit young for this Edwardian lark, aren't you?
I am a bit young. I'm 22 years old. The car is from 1923, so there's a big gap there.
What's it like to drive out there on such a quick track?
It's hard. For the first time, this was my first time here in Goodwood, and it was very hard, but a lot of fun. Very fast track.
And these boys that you are the meat in the sandwich of, they've been doing it a long time.
You can hear it.
It's very difficult to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Let me grab a word with Julian. There he is. Let Matthias get a garland and a kiss from the girls. Well, you've been in some tussles in your time, haven't you? That was one of the best.
No, it was a lot of fun. And towards the end, I certainly didn't have any brakes. I was having to try and slow down sort of by going sideways or whatever. But I thought I had... basically, Duncan seemed to be a bit quicker on the straights coming out. I could just have him at the end and sometimes in the corners. But in the end, I just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah.
So would you say the inaugural Edwardian race at Goodwood has been a massive hit?
I think it's been a massive hit, and I think the people who've come would never have expected anything like this, and or even known stuff like this existed, and it's really nice stuff. Yes, I think it's put on a good show, and one thing or another, I think it'll be... Well, I'd be surprised if we didn't come back again one of these days.
I think that's probably quite likely. I can't get over how quick a 100-year-old car is.
Yeah, and you know, the car's so original. It's got the original crank and conrods, and I mean, they're just like they ran in 1916 at Indianapolis and all those board track races. I mean, those guys were heroes, you know, running on beaded edge tyres on oily tracks, flat out, and they're quick things. This is the first ever twin-cam 6-cylinder engine built. And I mean, they were the height of technology at the time.
Incredible. Thank you for bringing it.
It's a pleasure.
Third place to Julian Mazoub in the 1916 Sunbeam Indianapolis. A garland and a kiss for our third place finisher in that truly extraordinary SF Edge trophy. Marcus, I'm going to turn my attention to 5-litre prototypes now out on the grid for what promises to be an epic display.
Roger Wills, can he get it over the curve, and he gets really wide. A wheel on the grass, kicks up some dirt. Oh, is he slowing? Can he get that? Oh, he's ripped the front off the Dumas car.
Padmore holds on, but he goes wide and on the grass. Padmore gets out of shape, and up comes Nick Swift. He's won into the final corner.
Go up the inside. Oh my gosh, coming out of the pits. That is threading the eye of a needle.
Now, up, straight look at